G'day, grade 8. This is the video for the page 83 activity. The objectives for this one deal with identifying how well you handle stress. Now, whether as a teenage kid or a young adult or an adult or so on, everyone needs to learn how to deal with stress. Now, for some people deal with a lot more stress than others. However, everyone will deal with stress a number of points in his or her life, and it's important that each person knows how to deal with stress effectively. So this activity, the page 83 activity that you're going to work on, kind of goes through a few things in terms of how well you deal with stress, what you can do to deal with stress, and so on. And it's also going to talk about the relationship between good habits and dealing with stress. There is a definite connection between having good habits and the likelihood that you don't have to deal with a whole lot of stress. Now, first of all, however, you're going to need the next textbook file. So in your browsers, I want you to go to the resources section of your class website, and you'll find the 78 to 83 textbook file in there. So I'm just going to left click that file. And it's going to open up in a tab within my browser, but I want to download this file. So once it's displayed, I'm going to move my mouse pointer down towards the bottom of the page. There's a small little toolbar that will allow me to save the file, so I'll click on the disk. And school, this is grade 8, CWE. And there's the first textbook file that we used, 39 to 50. So don't change the name, just save it right here. And I will close this tab, and I'll go to my Windows Explorer. And you'll be working in your H drive. I got to work off my Google Drive. And open up that textbook file. Okay, so first of all, stress management. The balancing of stress can help spur you on to do your best, but too much stress can interfere with your ability to do good work. Now, some stress is actually good. Let's say, for instance, those of you that participate in sports, you'll know that when you are called to act or do something very important, you'll feel that little burst of adrenaline flow through your body. That's good stress, because that stress gets you up and moving and gets your muscles ready to move and so on. Now, however, there's good stress and bad stress. The good stress helps kind of kick you into action. Bad stress is actually very unhealthy for you. Stress can even make you sick. So stress management is an important skill to develop. So you all probably know somebody who worries lots about stuff, someone who deals with lots of stress and so on. It's very important for everyone to learn how to deal with stressful situations, because if you don't deal with stress, stress will deal with you, and typically if the stress becomes too much, it can be very unhealthy for someone. So in this little section right here, there are some strategies for handling negative stress. Scheduling, using a calendar or a planner, keeping a budget for money. Now that's more for your parents. When you guys are older and off to school and so on, you will also know how important it is to manage your money. Money can be a significant source of stress. Talking with others, having some good friends. You don't have to be friends with everybody. You just need to have a few really good close friends that can help you out when times are tough. Having a journal, listening to music, that's one of my favorites. Participating in physical activity, that's another one of my favorites. Breathing techniques, yoga, I'm not too big into yoga. Eating healthy, getting plenty of rest, plenty of sleep, and just making real smart choices, making good decisions. So these are all items in your textbook that kind of give you a way in which you can handle negative stress in your life. Now, this right here, you're going to include in the activity for shortly. So I'm going to skip on through here. When positive skills become habits, driving on automatic. A habit is something that you do without thinking. Musicians practice so much they don't have to think about where to put their fingers when they play. In the middle of a football game, a player doesn't have to think about proper technique for blocking or tackling. And the more you do something, the more automatic it becomes. If that's a good something, well, then you've developed a positive habit. Now, part of developing good habits means that you constantly and consistently do things in a way that are really quite smart, really quite efficient. You're being proactive. You're being organized. You're getting things done early and on time, so that because you're kind of ahead of the game, you don't allow things to drag on so long that they become really difficult for you, and all of a sudden you've got a deadline that you've missed, or you've got work that's late, or you've missed something, and so on. And all those sorts of things can really crank up somebody's stress level. So your textbook identifies some work habits of effective people. Now, what they mean by effective people are those people that always seem to be able to work in such a way to minimize the likelihood of dealing with a stressful situation. So, in terms of your textbook, here are the things that it identifies in terms of good, positive work habits that decrease the likelihood of you having to deal with a stressful situation. So say number one, don't put things off. Don't procrastinate. There's a lot of kids in school that procrastinate way too much, and maybe that even applies to you. Procrastination can lead to stress. If you put things off, if you wait too long, and then all of a sudden you got a big assignment due like the next day, well then all of a sudden you're dealing with some stress. So to eliminate the stress, don't put things off. Get things started early. Don't wait. Number two, having a positive attitude. Number three, don't always think the worst. Some people, they think so negative, think, oh, this is just the worst. Everything, it's always bad and so on. Don't think the worst. 4, set clear goals for yourself. Make sure those goals are achievable. 5, make a priority list. Number 6, break big jobs into a series of small jobs. That helps minimize stress. Number 7, be organized. Number 8, commit yourself to doing the task. Number 9, remind yourself often. I know a lot of you got your little handheld gizmos. You guys, those little handheld gizmos are fantastic at creating little reminders. And number 10, reward yourself. If you have achieved a goal, if you've completed something that you set out to complete, then don't forget to reward yourself with something. Now this also as well, you're going to include in the activity. Now down towards the bottom, make self-motivation a habit. When people write about unmotivated teens, they mean that teens don't do what other people want them to do. You can be highly motivated though to do what you want to do. So what other people want you to do may be really important, or could be in the long run. Schoolwork, for example. Even self-motivated students have days when they really don't want to do their homework. The most highly motivated workers also have days on the job when they don't really want to work very hard. Now, if you can solve your motivation problems now for school, you will have another great transferable skill that will benefit you when you are an adult. So this is the activity right here. Evaluating your personal management skills. You're to rank each of these statements on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 meaning not at all like me, 5 being very much like me. And the list is really short for this one in terms of I work well under pressure, I know how to handle stress, and so on. And then after you have rated yourself on all these little statements, there's a little scale or a range here that will identify just how well you deal with stress. So, on that note, let's get a file set up for the activity. I already have InDesign running. You'll have to fire it up. And once InDesign is up and running, start a new document. File, New, Document. Just make sure the page size is set to letter. Click OK. I'd like you to switch your horizontal and vertical rulers as you've been doing. Go to the Edit menu. Go to Preferences way at the bottom. And let's go to Units and Increments. And horizontal and vertical measures set to millimeters. And I'll click OK. Now I'm going to zoom in. And again, I'm using a different mouse, and the scroll wheel is ultra sensitive. So that's why you see my page jump in size so quickly. Draw a text frame across the top. Now the InDesign skill for this one are extended hyphens. You guys learned how to insert extended hyphens in our Microsoft Word units. You guys learned how to insert extended hyphens when we did web design. And today you'll see how extended hyphens are inserted within InDesign. So I'm going to turn on my selection tool and I'm going to change the colors for my text frame. So I'm going to use one of InDesign's default background colors to start. Then I'll double click. And let's see what I want to use. Use green, I guess. Stroke, I like black. 3 pixels. And I like those rounded corners. Okay, I'll double click on my frame, get a cursor in there. I'm going to change my fonts. Something that's very readable, it looks good. Let's see here. I like this one. Font size 12 point, leading 18 point. That's the line spacing between the lines. And I'll just simply put in grade 8 CWE. Actually, you know what? I should hit enter first. Of course, in the next line. There we go. Grade 8 CWE. Call this page 83. Put the stress management work habits activity. Name. That's good enough for this one. I am going to modify the size. And I'm going to change my font color. I'm going to make a white font with a black stroke. I want you to put a black stroke around your font as well. So I don't really care what color font you're using. Just put a stroke around. It makes it easier to read. So first of all, the color, I will make it white. There we go. And the stroke, black, and that should be good. Yeah, looks good. Okay, now I am going to give myself a new column to work with, and I'm going to make a copy of this frame because it has like the font and the font color and all that stuff that I want. I'm going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to paste copy down here. I just wonder, I want this to even to be a little slimmer because we might need some room here. I'll resize this guy. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I see my page. And this might need to be fairly long. Okay. So I am going to, now that I've kind of sized it the way that I want it, put in a heading here, strategies for handling, oopsie, negative stress. Now after punching that in, I'm going to bring this up a bit. And how much more space do I have down at the bottom? There we go. Okay. I want you to start a bulleted list. I'm going to go back to my textbook file. And where are the strategies? Right here. Right there. Now they're using bullets, but you know what? Let's use numbers for this. First one was schedule your important activities, and that's in boldface. So I'm going to go back into InDesign. I'm going to start a numbered list. Type bulleted and numbered lists. Apply numbers. And the first one, schedule your important activities. Period space. And I'm just going to type this one in. That way you know you are doing the most important things, even if you aren't getting everything done. That way you know that you are doing the most important things, even if you aren't getting everything done. Enter. Okay, now, first of all, let's save our file. File and save. I'll go to my Google Drive. You'll go to your H drive. Grade 8, CWE, assignments. And this is the page 83 activity. First initial, last name. page 83, and save. Okay, now in the textbook file, you'll notice that the first sentence in each item is bold-faced. Now I'm going to go back to InDesign. Now within InDesign, some of the fonts, bold-facing is not an option, so I'm going to highlight this first sentence. And this is the formatting drop-down list box right here. And I do. The font that I selected, it does. Boldface is an option. Good. Now, what if boldfacing is not an option for you? Well, if it's not an option, let's say, friends, I'm just going to edit undo that for a moment. If it's not an option for you, if you can't boldface because of the font that you're using, I want you to change the color. So right now my font color is white. I'll just say, for instance, I'll pick a different color. So I'm using kind of a dark green. So what if I use the shade of blue? So you could do that as well. That's an option for you. And notice it changed the color of the number. That's okay. I'm not going to worry too much about that. So it's one or the other. Either you apply the boldface or you change the font color for the first part of each item. So what was the second one? Use a calendar or a planner. It'll help you control your time. Use a calendar or a planner. It'll help you control your time. Okay, now I need that shade of blue again. So if I click on this, this is the one I just used. It'll show up in the bottom of the list. There it is. So it'll remember the color. That color will get added to that little drop down. Okay, so you get the idea. I want you though, however, for strategy for handling negative stress, I'm only going to put in the first couple. You'll have to punch all of these in. But what I'll do though is I would like to demonstrate how to insert an extended hyphen. So I think, is there an extended hyphen here? No, not in this list. The extended hyphen I think is in the next list. Yeah, right there. There it is. So we'll demonstrate that right here. So in your file, I've added the first two. In your file, you got to add all of these. Now, I'm going to make another column. So I'm going to turn on my selection tool, click on this frame, right-click copy, come over here, right-click paste, and so I'll put it in position. I might have to oh yeah, I am. I'm going to have to resize my columns. My columns are too wide. Okay, so now I want to keep them the same width though. So I'm going to click on this one, and here's the width right there. Right now it's 43 millimeters. I'm going to try putting 40, enter. Oopsie, no, sorry, I'm going to undo that. This is the width right here. 95 millimeters. I'm going to try 90, enter. And I'll try making this 90. I'll click on this one, go to the width. I'm going to put 90 millimeters, 90 as well. And how does that work? Actually, you know, 90 looks pretty good. Yes, I think I can come over just a little bit. There we go. Now, I'm going to erase all the stuff that's in here. And I need to remove the numbers. So I'll go to Type, Bullets and Numbers, Remove Number for now, and type in Work Habits of Effective People. And I'll start a new numbered list. Type, Bullets and Numbers, and Apply Numbers. Number 1. I'll scroll down there. Don't put it off. If you have to do it anyway, you might as well get started when you have time enough to get it done. Don't put it off. If you have to do it anyway, you might as well get started when you have time enough get it done. Enter. Now, I need to make this the same shade of blue as that, or bold, it's one or the other. I'll highlight this first statement, and I'll go to the stroke palettes. This is the shade of blue that I used earlier. There we go. Number 2, keep a positive attitude. The right attitude is extremely important. There's our extended hyphen. Ask any athlete. Keep focused on successful completion of the task. So, I'll punch that in. Keep a positive attitude. The right attitude is extremely important. Now, this is where the extended hyphen comes in. So don't hit your space bar and go to Type, Insert Special Character, hyphens and dashes, and it's the first one, the M dash. There we go. The right attitude is extremely important. Ask any athlete. Ask any athlete. I don't remember what came next. Keep focused on successful completion of the task. Keep focused on the successful completion of the task, period. Enter. And I got to make this blue or bold. It's one or the other. And I'll go up to my fill palette. Whoopsie, that's the wrong one. There's a shade of blue that I used earlier. Okay, now I only typed in the first 2. I'm going to save my file. But what you'll need to do is you'll need to type in all 10 of these. Now, let's add a new page to our document. Pages. This is the insert page button right here. Here we go. Now, what if you run out of room? If you run out of room in any of these columns, you just simply make a new column here, and you can just simply continue. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to make a copy of this column, just in case you need to do this. I'll make a copy of this, and I'm going to go right-click and copy. And I will paste one here. And I'm going to just delete everything. All the text goes delete. Gone. Now, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Yeah, this mouse, I don't like this mouse I use at home. Too sensitive. Now let's say, for instance, this guy doesn't have to be near as big. So I'll snug him up. But you get the idea. So let's say let's link them. And we demonstrated this one other time before. So if this gets too full, and right now there's a little white box here. That's used to link. So I'm going to scroll over. So if this fills up, I want all the extra information to come into this frame. So I'll click on this little black square, or this little white square. I left click. Look what happens to my mouse pointer. Then I'm going to go over to this frame, and I'll left click, and now they're joined. So if this fills up, the text will come into this frame right here. Now, however, for now, I don't need to do that, so I'm just going to delete this for now, because I don't need to do that. But what we'll do now is let's create a frame for, actually, you know what, I'm going to undo that. Edits, undo. Did I come back? Because I need a frame here anyhow. I'm going to resize this. Because if you have extra frames, like need extra space here because of these two, then you got space right there. However, you'll need a new frame here. And let's find that activity right there. Reevaluate your personal management skills. So I'm going to zoom in. Text. Let's see. Oh, it's linked them. Well, you know what? I need to undo. Guess what? Delete this one because it still thinks it's linked. So I'm going to delete that. So now my page, my second page is empty again. don't make a copy of this because I actually linked, and InDesign remembers I made a link. Make a copy of this one. Copy, because this guy's not linked. I'll go down to this page, right click paste. Yeah, there we go. Make it a little higher. And I'm going to take this text out and reevaluate. Evaluate your personal management skills. Your personal management skills. Now they're using bullets for this, so we got a scale from 1 to 5. 1 not at all like me, 5 very much like me. So we'll rank each of these statements. Rank each of these statements from 1, not at all true for me, not at all true for me, to 5, very true for me. And this is going to have to be bigger. So start a bulleted list. Type. Bullets and numbers. Apply bullets. And the first bullet says, I work well under pressure. I work well under pressure. Rating. Well, for me, I'd say that's 4. Next bullet. I know how to handle stress. I know how to handle, rating. Yeah, I'm pretty good at this. Not the best, but I'm pretty good. I'll give myself a 4. I know how to keep myself healthy, and I do it. I know how to keep myself healthy, and I know how to do it. Oh, sorry, and I do it. Rating. Yep, absolutely. That's me, 5. Now, you get the idea. I'm only going to do the first, 3? You're going to have to punch in all of these bullets and give yourself a rating from 1 to 5. 1 being not at all like you, 5 being very much like you. Now, once you finish all the bullets, down at the bottom, I'm going to turn off my bullets. I mean, you got to keep on going, but I'm going to turn mine off. Type, bullets and numbers, remove bullets. And it says, what's your score? What's your score? And then write down the one that applies to you. So if you fall, actually, you know what we should do? Have you guys do a total. Rating total. So right now, my total would be 5, 9, 13. But I only did 3. You'll do them all and then calculate your total. So what's my score? Well, after you have done your total and punch this in, where would I fall? So less than 20. Spend more time thinking about this section. That's where I fell. So wherever you fall in this range, only write down or type in the one that applies to you. So for me, I didn't finish it, but I put less than 20. Spend more time thinking about this section. And I got some extra space here that I will deal with. And there we go. And I'm going to save my file. So you get the idea. Okay, so after you've done everything, double check it, proofread it, make sure you got no typos, no mistakes anyplace. And after you double check your document to make sure that it's free of errors, I want a PDF of this, so I'm going to make my PDF. File, print, switch your printer to the Adobe PDF printer, and print. If you get any kind of messages like this, just ignore them. Click OK. And these are my other ones. That's all good, so I'll just click Save. And there we have it. So like I said, I didn't do all of it, but you will do all of it. And then this is what I want from you. I want your PDF. Okay, you guys can now finish off the page 83 activity. Good luck.